Good Friday evening, everybody. Welcome to this April 1st edition of FSU Weather. I'm Casey Cloud.
And I'm student meteorologist Jay Carstens. Lots to talk about in today's show, but first of all, we just wanted to clarify we are not reporting live from Perry.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually located here in Tallahassee. Of course, April Fool's Joke going around, and we're a little bit further west of Perry, so that's good. But if you're watching from Perry, then you're pretty much at FSU because you're watching our show right here on 4FSU.
Yeah, the merger did not happen, of course, as was reported during the morning. But now let's talk serious. Tornado watch is in effect for Tallahassee and surrounding areas until 9 p.m. tonight, including the FSU main campus.
Yeah, absolutely. This means that conditions are possible for tornadoes to develop. We'll be watching for hail and damaging winds a possibility as well. So just stay with us. We'll be giving updates on live stream that evening as conditions warrant. If anything pops up during this show, we'll be first to let you know exactly what that is.
Lots of warnings already have been happening up to our north. We just saw a tornado warning, a pretty strong signature out there near Pearson, Georgia, and Ware County. That expired pretty recently, of course, but still numerous severe thunderstorm warnings up in parts of south central Georgia, and these storms are tracking eastward towards Tallahassee and are actually right on the doorstep.
Yeah, I got storms around here right now, not severe here, but again, that storm in Georgia that Jake was alluding to, not too far from Waycross, so those folks definitely needed to have an eye on that, and those storms could start to rotate as they move over to southeast Georgia as well, and further away from our region. But again, focusing things back now on our region as we take things out to the weather wall, I'll go ahead and see exactly what's going on with that. We have that tornado watch that is in play here until 9 p.m. tonight for the Tallahassee area, so definitely something that needs to be monitored closely here with those conditions favorable for severe thunderstorms heading close to the watch area and tornadoes as well that could develop. Now, looking at a Doppler radar here over the last 6 hours or so, we see these storms starting to move in. Some of these becoming a little bit stronger now. It looks like on the Doppler radar, getting closer to Liberty County, so something for those folks to keep a close eye on for sure. In Tallahassee, of course, you see some shower activity starting to make its way in here. Again, it needs to be monitored. Jefferson County, too, watching a shower that is a little bit more isolated from the main system. These dew points are what fuels this severe weather threat that's going on. 65 Tallahassee, a little higher toward the coast, though. 72 Carabel, 71 St. Marks, and even in Perry, 72 there in Taylor County. Now, as we go for your forecast for tonight, we do see 66 degrees, heavy rain, storms likely. So, again, needs to be monitored closely. And for tomorrow, 75, going to start warming up after the storms move out. So for springtime Tallahassee, it's looking pretty iffy right now for if that will occur. So now coastal region, 72 St. Mark, 72 Carabel, 73 Apalachicola. So those regions a little bit cooler, along with some of those Georgia counties like, of course, we're talking about Thomas and Decatur. Right now, we'll go ahead and take it back over to the desk where we have now Matt and Sane standing by.
Thanks, Casey. What we wanted to talk about next was how these severe thunderstorms, as they roll through the southeast and the Leon County region, could be disrupting our day-to-day life here on campus.
Yeah, as many of you know, it is circus season. We had, I think, one of the student shows was last night, and tonight we do have another show as well. So for all those folks visiting for preview, we do have a couple updates.
Yes, we wanted to let everyone know that as our current information stands, the circus show for Flying High FSU Circus entitled Action is still scheduled to be performed this evening, but we do want to urge everyone to take caution. If nothing else, take your rain gear with you.
Yeah, highly recommend the boots, the umbrellas. It will be raining. I'm looking at the radar now. We saw it a minute ago with Casey that rain's going to come down, and just be extra careful if you're heading out to the circus tonight.
Certainly, if conditions become dangerous, authorities will shut down the production. It is in a tent, which could be hazardous. But stay tuned to your local authorities for that information. For now, we'll throw it out to the wall. Matt's going to give us the local segment.
Yeah, here we go. We've got this picture from our one of our faculty directors, Dr. Alquist. Here it is. It looks like some cool momentous clouds just out ahead of the storm here near the stadium. This was just earlier this afternoon, just sent to us here at the FSU Weather Studios. And a lot of pictures like this coming in all across Tallahassee this evening as the storm started to roll in. Now, let's recap. What we have going on right now is a tornado watch. That's all the areas here shaded in red. We had a severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be just outside of our area, but we're watching that one closely as well. But the tornado watch for our area, as we mentioned at the top of the show, is until 9 o'clock. So we'll be watching the area very closely for any spin-ups. Right now, we're not seeing anything on radar. Here it is, just rain torrential rains, high winds, some lightning, maybe even isolated hail as well, but really just heavy rain. So tonight, keep the activities indoors, maybe make it a good board game night, because that is what we're looking at tonight here across the entire metro region and the Big Bend area. Now, lightning strikes, we were just talking about it. Let's see where they are at right now. We've got a few out near Wilma, just to the west of Wilma, rather, in one of those isolated cells. Nothing over our area. Couple more to our north and east with the severe thunderstorm warning, but really right now we are lightning free for the moment. Current temperatures across the region, 60s in most of the areas that are rain cooled, and then 70s out ahead of where that rain is. So we're talking about Perry 77, St. Mark's 75, even closer to the coast in the 70s as well, where the rain hasn't quite visited just yet. Now here's the winds. We see all of that flow coming off of the Gulf. Now that is fuel for these storms. Now we have all the moisture, the tropical moisture moving in at a pretty good rate. And then where it is raining, though, we kind of see a bit of a deviation in where the winds are coming from. So mainly out ahead of the storms from the south. Now, relative humidity values are echoing where we see the rain. Look at this, 100% in Thomasville, Quincy, 100%. Pretty much you walk outside and you're in a cloud or it's raining. It's just wet and muggy out there, folks, across the entire area. Now, tonight's forecast, as Casey did touch on before, rain, it's going to happen. So watch out. If you are heading out, I'd recommend you change those plans. But if you do, raincoat, rain jacket, that's what you're going to need. And we'll be watching for the potential for severe weather. Now let's look at tomorrow's forecast. 74 degrees is what we're looking at. Morning rain, and then maybe the rain will start to taper off just a little bit towards the afternoon hours. The winds will be out of the northwest. Now let's look at the extended forecast and the 7-day. Now this data, just one day ahead, we have a little issue with our graphic here. So this is Saturday's forecast, 90% chance of rain. And then it starts to clear up into Sunday and Monday. Really going to be a gorgeous beginning of the week. And then later on in the forecast cycle into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is when we see the uptick of rain chances. But right now, Jake is going to expand our view on the severe weather a little bit with the southeast.
Thanks a lot, Matt. This is where everything really has been going on. Starting off with radar, lots to talk about up to our south, or up to our north and east. Again, numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, including a tornado warning in parts of south central Georgia. That rain now pushing its way into Savannah, in towards Charleston, South Carolina as well. And another area to note on is New Orleans. Lots of rainfall there. We had some flood warnings going on in the city earlier today, and of course, a flash flood warning was in effect for parts of Dothan, Alabama, in that general vicinity earlier in the afternoon. Lots of lightning outside of the Tallahassee area, Savannah, and that whole stretch along I-95 down into the Georgia-Florida border is really a hotbed for this lightning. And of course, out in New Orleans too, that rainfall has been moving a little bit slower than what we've seen out here towards the Tallahassee area and pushing off towards the east. Of course, watches, warnings, advisories, plenty. That tornado watch in effect from Savannah all the way down through Panama City, that general vicinity, till 9 o'clock tonight, Eastern time. These severe thunderstorm warnings, of course, in effect. We had that tornado warning just about here in Ware County earlier, about, say, an hour ago. Some coastal advisories as well associated with all these storms just tracking their way in along the Gulf. Pretty hot in South Florida where the rain hasn't hit yet. 90 degrees in Orlando, 85 in Miami, but of course where the rain's been falling, a lot cooler. 69 here in Tallahassee and 60 degrees over in New Orleans where that rainfall has just been hitting all day. Winds not a lot except for, of course, New Orleans at 23. Coastal regions near Texas in towards Houston have also been pretty gusty, and South Florida hanging around 10 miles per hour there. Very moist out there, of course. We have a lot of moisture up in the upper levels of the atmosphere contributing to the formation of these big thunderstorms, dumping a lot of rain in these areas. Heavy rainfall rates, of course, exceeding an inch an hour in some parts. That stretches all the way up towards Washington, D.C. Now, let's talk about tonight's forecast. We got 68 degrees for a low in Orlando, 75 in Miami, still staying warm down in South Florida. But you see where this front is situated. Again, this big temperature gradient stretching along from Atlanta down through parts of, maybe say, Lafayette, Louisiana. 69 degrees in New Orleans, but on the northwest side, only 55 in Shreveport. And tomorrow, staying hot in South Florida. But again, that rain's going to be hanging around in the morning. 80 degrees here in Tallahassee, 80 in Savannah, 75 degrees in Atlanta. So now let's take it back to the desk with Matt and Shane.
Thank you, Jake. We are updating you on all of the latest in severe weather here and all the latest in changing of events. One of the big changes we do want to note is the big event, which is tomorrow.
That's right. The big event, Twitter just tweeted out earlier today that due to the potential weather tomorrow morning, they're moving their kickoff from outdoors to indoors at the Civic Center here in Tallahassee.
Yes, and all participants of the big event are encouraged to arrive by 9:15. So if you are in the big event, again, the kickoff has been moved inside the Civic Center due to the potential for inclement weather. Now, we're not expecting really anything super heavy by then, but showers are possibly around. Looks like tonight around midnight, so we can see that.
Yep, we expect the rainiest weather tomorrow to be when you first wake up, as the rain overnight begins to finally get its act together and get out of the region. And then as the day goes on, things will be looking up. But for now, why don't we send it out to Sarah for a look around the U.S.
Thanks, guys. We actually do have quite a few colorful warnings across right now. There's a lot of wind warnings, largely across the Illinois area, Iowa area, winds all across that. A few winter storm watches over in the purple by the lake areas. This large purple off the coast is a gale advisory, but if you're on land, you should be fine for that. Down here, it gets pretty interesting as well. The greens along the rivers are flood watches to keep an eye out for if you're in those areas. And down in the corner where we are, we have those tornado watches and severe thunderstorm warnings to be keeping an eye on. Now, down in our area, this big block here of red, that is the tornado watch that is in effect until 9 p.m. So make sure you're, if you're in the area, especially on main campus, keep an eye out for FSU alerts and keep an eye on possible developments. The severe thunderstorm warning areas down here in yellow have actually shrunk in the past few minutes. So those are moving a bit past us, though the rain is not. Into the satellite, you can see the April showers thing holds true. Across Texas, there are a couple developments. Same up here, up in Iowa, you have some rain going on to be keeping an eye up. But mostly across the East Coast, you can see these storms are really just headed straight up the coast, all the way down from New Orleans to even up here by Boston. There are still rain showers up there as well. Now these snow showers were up where the winter advisory was. So you can see they're pretty scattered, but across Wisconsin especially, you have those the snow to be keeping an eye on and be aware of if you're in the area. For airport delays, there really is only up here in New York, and New York was under that wind advisory, so that's likely the cause for those 41-minute airport delay. Looking into tonight, you can see this strong gradient between here. The Kansas City at 39, going across all the way Memphis 51, 66 here in Tallahassee, so it will be a chilly spring night. Over along the West Coast, we have 49 up in Seattle, 31 in Billings, so it is still freezing. April has not completely warmed us up yet. Now looking at tomorrow, very warm over in California, 80 over in Phoenix. The gradient still continues down the middle of the country with 46 up in Minneapolis, and we're going to see a nice 80 down in Tallahassee. So that'll be a nice warm Saturday. But now we're going to take it to Ulises.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Right now, when it comes to locally here in Tallahassee, the last 20 hours, temperatures have been relatively uniformed in the 70s, especially from late last night until this morning. We did get the temperature to rise up to 80 degrees today on the first day of April, and that's due to some sunshine that did peak out very briefly today. But as you see with the rainfall, the temperatures have fallen back into the lower 70s like we woke up to this morning. Temperatures right now, where the rain has fallen, noticeably cooler. 66 in Quincy, 64 in Bainbridge. A little bit warmer towards the east, especially in Perry at 77 degrees right now where they haven't received any of the rain. And when it comes to all this rain, it's all going to be pushing towards the east as we go into the nighttime hours. You can see how the rain is now just bombarding parts of Bainbridge, Thomasville, Mariana, Wilma, and even just to the north of Tallahassee. So if you're driving on US 84, I-10, it's going to be a very soggy commute. US 98, if you're in the eastern portions, it's going to be dry for now, but towards the west, heading towards Panama City, watch out, it is a soggy one. We are also under that tornado watch until 9 o'clock tonight, so just remember to have that NOAA weather radio with you. And also we do have a flash flood watch in effect until tomorrow morning. Accumulations could get up to 4 inches of rain in some isolated areas, so just remember to turn around, don't drown if you are going to be doing any activities today, driving tonight and tomorrow morning. The good news is conditions will begin to improve, but a broader look towards the southeast, the rain continues all the way up into South Carolina and as far west as New Orleans. Louisiana and Mississippi, they do not need that rain anymore. We have already had some tornadoes already reported throughout the afternoon into parts of Georgia and Alabama. And it's going to continue pushing further out towards the east. So eventually Jacksonville and Savannah, they will be under the gun for rain and the chance of severe weather. Tonight, 66 degrees, heavy rain. Storms are likely, so just remember to have that poncho, that umbrella with you if you're going to do any outdoor activities. For tomorrow, for springtime Tallahassee, early on is really where you got to be careful. Just remember to be covered somewhere if you're going to be following any parades tomorrow. Conditions will gradually improve throughout the afternoon. The cloud cover will begin to diminish. The sun will break through, and the good weather will eventually continue as we go into the next 7 days. Especially by the time we get to Sunday, 74 degrees. The morning lows are going to be in the 50s, so it's going to be very seasonable when it comes to those temperatures for the work week all the way from Sunday till next Friday. Temperatures are going to be in the 40s to afternoons, just hovering in those mid-70s. Very beautiful weather, especially after a rainy March where we just had about 6.5 inches of rain. And, just remember all the rain that we do get in April. Remember, April showers turn into May flowers. So the good times will roll, and remember to enjoy those cool temperatures because remember, before you know it, the 90s will eventually be here, and summer will be coming in and roaring like a lion. So great times ahead. Have that sunshine with you, but remember to be weather ready tonight, and don't be afraid because the weather will be heading good. Now turning it over to Matt and Shane with another desk.
Thanks, Ulysses. We do want to turn our attention away from all this rain to a sunnier topic on the forecast, and that's the banquet of the local chapter of the American Meteorological Society.
Oh, the banquet. It's coming up next Saturday at 6 p.m. We're hosting Mr. Michael Lowry from the Weather Channel as our keynote speaker. So grab a date maybe and head on out.
Yep, tickets are still available, although this is the last day that they can be purchased, and the banquet is open to anyone. We're eager to invite people to join us to see Mr. Lowry speak. He is an alum of FSU, and we're looking very forward to having him back in town to talk about his experiences with all of us aspiring meteorologists.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night, a great evening of fun. It's going to be at Doak Campbell Stadium. Some good food, some good fun, and it's just going to be great.
Always a good time at the University Club Center there, that's for sure. It's going to be a wonderful event. We're looking very much forward to it. And we want to now sound it out to the wall with Andres for a look around the Sunshine State.
Well, most of the Sunshine State is looking very, very well right now, except for the panhandle around us. As you can see to our west, we have this line of storms that are just racing to the northeast as the system itself moves slowly towards the east. And with it, it's bringing a lot of heavy rain and a lot of localized severe storms that are developing within this line. But as it moves on, it's going to start affecting us here in Tallahassee. Matter of fact, I believe it's already has started to rain outside. And please be aware of the situation. Don't get caught outside in this rain. And also, we know that the Apalachicola River is under currently a flood warning for all the rain that we received last week. So please make sure you stay safe in case you see running water on the streets. Looking at the lightning strikes around the state, you see most of them are to our west that are associated along with this line, and also some in Louisiana. But for the most part, the rest of the state is lightning free, except for in the Panhandle. But as you can see right here, this tornado watch right here, tornado watch 75, this one will expire at 9 o'clock tonight. So please be tuned until then. And just because it expires at 9 o'clock does not mean that it could be reissued for our area. So just please stay tuned to the local news stations around and us here. And we will provide you with the latest as the time goes on. But for the most part, the rest of the state, as I mentioned before, is sitting pretty nice. Nothing too concerning for the rest of the state. But moving in closer to us, we can see it's 69 currently here in Tallahassee, 66 in Mariana, and 67 in Crestview. You can see that the temperatures are a little bit cooler for the reason, and the reason being is because of these clouds and rain that are coming down, and it's helping to bring those temperatures down. But current conditions across the state, it is 90 in Orlando, 85 in Miami. It's just scorching across the rest of the state. As you can clearly tell where this line of storms and the cold front associated with these storms are right at the current moment right now. To the west of Tallahassee right now, I've actually just dipped down to 69 here in Tallahassee. But for the most part, this won't really bring temperatures too far down. It's going to be more of a rainmaker and a storm maker than anything else. but it has a lot of moisture to work with as the subtropical jet and the polar jet are coming in together and just gathering all this moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and just throwing it our way. And this is really feeding it to the system. That's why we see all this moisture and all these storms that are happening. And as you can see, the winds are coming ahead of this front. They're coming out of the south, just gathering all that moisture and bringing it in our way. But for tonight, it's going to be 66 here in Tallahassee, 68 in Orlando, and 75 in Miami, 64 in Jacksonville. So we are going to have a decent night for the most part in the state. And into tomorrow, it should be 80 degrees. These storms should be out of the area about 9 o'clock in the morning, so the rest of the day should be nice. But for the most part, the rest of the state's going to see temperatures in the 90s and higher 80s. But right now, we're going to take it back to the desk with Jake and Casey with more severe weather.
Thanks, Andres. Definitely looking forward to that sunshine that's going to be on the way Saturday night and Sunday. But of course, for now, theme of the show has been the impending severe weather and the storms that are rolling their way into the Tallahassee region right now. And we're going to do something a little bit inventive here. We're going to do a little bit of a dual wall segment here where we're going to be breaking down exactly what's going on out there and talking about some things like lightning strikes and the current watches and warnings. Just a little bit more, of course.
Yeah, Jake's going to go first here, talking about what's going on with the latest radar imagery across your area and breaking things down.
All right, thank you very much, Casey. Now, here we go again with the local radar. You've seen it plenty of times before, but this is a little bit more zoomed in, of course. Lots of rainfall, especially to our north and west, just starting to get into the city. Some heavy stuff coming off towards the west now, over near Midway, starting to push towards the Capitol Circle on the west side, of course, all the car dealerships out there. Quincy getting hit pretty hard, down towards Wilma, and even all the way down towards Panama City. That rain is just tracking its way up to the north and the east, eventually getting pushed east by this cold front going on here. And then Bainbridge, Marianna, of course, all of that still getting hit pretty hard. So let's look again at the severe weather alerts. Nothing in our immediate area in terms of warnings. We had this tornado watch in effect for Tallahassee, Wilma, Quincy, this entire polygon until 9 p.m. tonight Eastern time, 8 p.m. if you're out westward of Gadsden County. And again, nothing warning-wise in our immediate area, but you do see that severe thunderstorm warning polygon off to my side up in parts of southeastern Georgia. So again, nothing around here, but things could be popping up in the next few hours, so to speak, with that wind being the primary threat really with all this. But again, of course, we are under tornado watch, meaning the conditions are favorable for the potential production of this rotation and these tornadic supercell thunderstorms out ahead of this major squall line to be making its way through. So Casey's going to finish this up with a couple more looks at what's going on around here.
Absolutely, Jake. So lightning strikes right now are starting to come into play just a little bit out toward Liberty County now. This storm starting to see a little bit of intensification based on what we saw in the radar imagery and now with this as well. Watching it closely to see if we started to get maybe a warning issued by the National Weather Service in Tallahassee for this region over the next little bit. Now, also some lightning developing in toward Jefferson County now. Monitoring this closely as well. This will start to make its way into toward Madison and Taylor County over the next little bit. So these communities need to be on guard for this as well with this tornado watch in effect. Again, Jake was breaking it down for you. Does not include our coastal zones per se, but it does include Tallahassee, the ward, the north and west as well. So we'll be watching that for you closely, giving you updates on livestream.com/FSU weather as needed throughout the evening as warnings are issued. Now this right here is storm relative velocity, something we don't see very often here on FSU weather. It shows winds going away and toward the radar site. The red away, green toward, and if we see these close together, we're talking about areas of rotation that's being indicated and where a possible tornado could be, which is what we're looking for in a day like this with a tornado watch in play. But luckily, we're not seeing anything like that right now. This is what you would typically see with the rain showers. We're not seeing any couplets develop per se right now, so that's the good news. But we'll be keeping an eye on it very closely for you throughout the evening to again giving you the very latest on this. And Shane's going to do just that right now with a local forecast.
Thank you very much, Casey. We're going to jump right into this and start with the temperatures presently here on FSU's campus. And the rain really is cooling us down. We're already down into the 60s, sitting at 69 degrees on campus. But with a dew point of 65 degrees, that humidity is way up there. And with the rain falling, you'll believe it out there. Now here's a shot of the clouds that I actually took earlier this afternoon. We spotted these over campus as the squall line was moving through the area. And this distinctive undulating shape looks almost like waves up there in the sky. That signifies the really strong winds in the upper atmosphere that are pushing these storms along at really rapid paces. But looking back at the temperatures, once again, it's 69 in Tallahassee, 75 in St. Mark's, and 77 in Perry. It's a little warmer out there because they haven't experienced the cooling associated with the clouds and the rainfall that are coming in from the northwest. For instance, it's already cooled down to 64 degrees in Bainbridge. Now here's that radar that we've all been watching for, and we can see that line of storms track its way to the southeast, and it's really making its way into the Leon County area right now, but we wanted to draw attention to this very strong band that's about to cross the Chattahoochee River, Apalachicola River, I should say, and make its way into Liberty County, and it looks particularly strong. So everyone in the vicinity of Wilma should be keeping their eyes open. We will, of course, notify if any warnings are issued this evening. And the relative humidity tells the story once again. A lot of 100% on this map right now, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's raining, although that's actually a pretty safe bet with the squall line coming through. That means that the current air temperature and the dew point are exactly the same right now. And the current winds we wanted to talk about, these have been coming out of the south and driving that warm, moist air up from the Gulf. But they're getting a little scattered now. They're coming in from the north, along with the squall line pushing into our region. And instead of a map of what's about to happen, we wanted to really expand our gaze and look at the whole region this evening. This band of storms stretches from New Orleans across Pensacola, Tallahassee, up into Savannah, Georgia. And this big system is going to scoot its way on out to the south and finally get out of our hair. We're expecting a timetable of about the early morning hours tomorrow when that rain will finally be making its way out of here. But before we get there, we'll wake up from a low of 66 degrees. That 90% chance of rain just shows how confident we are in the rainfall that is already moving into our region. And 90% again tomorrow. This doesn't mean we're calling for a total washout. We're actually expecting this rain to taper off a fair bit as we get closer to lunchtime. And here's that 7-day forecast from 90% tomorrow on Saturday. Excuse the titles, they're a little confused. After that, we see lots of beautiful sunshine and temperatures in the mid to upper 70s as we move into next week. Let's throw it back to the desk now with Casey and Jake.
Thanks, Dane. Light at the end of the tunnel, which we'll break down here in just a moment. But again, we want to recap that tornado watch. That is in effect until 9 p.m. tonight for the Tallahassee region. Many counties, including Leon FSU campus, under this, meaning conditions are favorable for tornadic activity and close to the watch area.
Of course. Off to our southeast, not quite there yet, but those storms will be moving on as the night carries on, and potentially another round forming behind it. But let's look at that 7-day, of course. Saturday morning, not really looking too pretty with that 90% chance of rain out there, but then from Sunday on, oh, it is nice to see those suns out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Great conditions. Again, just move the day over by a day, and that's exactly what you're seeing. Just go out and enjoy it. Again, light at the end of the tunnel. Jake and I were just talking about that. Just beautiful, great golf weather on Sunday.
Perfect golf weather. About time I gave it a good 5 out of 5 in that index. But now, if you'd like to watch a little bit more of us, we're on all over social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course on livestream.com/FSU Weather. I emphasize that because we will likely be on there periodically tonight covering the severe weather as it tracks its way eastward through our region.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep you and your family safe as we do monitor things very closely in the FSU Weather Studio. As warnings are issued, we'll be on to give you the very latest. But for now, I'm Casey Clark.
I'm student meteorologist Jay Carstens. Stay dry and have a good weekend.
Thanks for joining us.